Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for our Regional Economic Development Update. I'm Sarah DeVasher Wisdom, President and CEO of GLI. 2020 has been quite a year. It has been filled with some unexpected challenges and obstacles, but despite all of that we have faced, there have been many exciting economic development projects underway here in Greater Louisville. I'm thrilled that each of you have joined us today to look ahead at what's in store for 2021. Today, we'll hear from Devin Hilsden Smith, Deputy Director of the River Ridge Development Authority, and Matt Yates, Vice President of Louisville Riverport Authority, who will offer short overviews of these regional assets, as well as related development and investment updates on key industry growth. A critical component of GLI's mission to grow the regional economy is by supporting business attraction efforts for Greater Louisville. So to help make this a reality, we manage the Greater Louisville Regional Partnership, a 15-county bi-state economic development initiative. And I see many of our partners here with us today, so that's exciting to have our partners with us. Through this partnership, we work with county and community partners to showcase our collective assets across the whole region. And we offer project management services to companies during site selection processes. In this role, we serve as a liaison for the region to companies that are considering new investments in our market. The Greater Louisville Regional Partnership was formalized by all 15 county partners in 2016, positioning GLI to work hand in hand with local economic development organizations to attract businesses and drive investment into our community. The partnership generates leads by marketing our community and by doing targeted outreach to national site consultants and industry contacts. As the managing organization for the partnership, GLI assists in project management while multiple counties are under consideration, and that ensures that the whole region is considered. The partnership creates a framework for regional collaboration to help with real estate searches, site selector research, research that site selectors might want, workforce and talent mapping, as well as site visit coordination. Right now, we have 46 projects in the pipeline, and these 46 projects represent over 3,600 potential new jobs for our region, and that's across a variety of industries. Since the creation of the partnership just 5 years ago, we supported the addition of about 4,500 new jobs in the region. Along with One Southern Indiana and Louisville Forward, we played a key role in locating Niagara Bottling to Clark County, Indiana. And they've now invested over $90 million in the area, just as an example of one of the great projects that we've been able to work on as a partnership. The partnership also worked to bring an additional 125 employees to E&Y's downtown Louisville location. These projects and all of those that are currently in the pipeline truly are a collective effort that showcases our common goal of regional economic prosperity. Collaboration with our community partners is imperative for continued growth and innovation, especially during the challenging times we find ourselves in right now. That's why we're continuing to work with our partners like River Ridge, Louisville Riverport, and Republic Bank and Trust to attract new investment, position existing businesses to grow, and create an environment where our regional economy can thrive in the years to come. We know that the year ahead will continue to present challenges as we move forward from the COVID-19 pandemic. However, GLI is committed to ensuring our economy comes back stronger than ever. We've supported our business community through this pandemic by advocating for additional government relief and providing resources through our Crisis Support Hub, among other efforts. While recovery will remain top of mind, we must keep our forward-thinking mentality and begin planning for the future. A few months ago, we unveiled our new 5-year strategic plan called Now Louisville, which is a forward-thinking framework that emphasizes and expands upon our already existing strengths as a region while taking intentional steps to enhance areas we've fallen short of in the past. The plan identifies 6 pillars that will guide our work over the next 5 years: innovation, startups, clusters, talent, inclusion, and connectivity. The clusters pillar was developed to support continued economic development as we strive to attract companies and bring more jobs to the region. Our region is desirable to a variety of industries, so we have to continue to strategically market our central location, reasonable cost of living, and strong business community. We'll also support and grow our 3 industry networks, the Health Enterprises Network, Tech First, and the Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network, to ensure our core industries are empowered with the resources they need for long-term success. Inclusion also plays a vital role in our work to grow the economy. We must ensure our region is inclusive, diverse, and welcoming. Like many communities, recent events have highlighted disparities experienced by people of color in our region, and we know it will take intentional and long-term plans to eradicate them. Over the summer, GLI created the Business Council to End Racism, which brings together business and community leaders to identify actionable solutions to overcome racial inequity within our institutions. We will soon launch a Minority Business Accelerator that will equip minority entrepreneurs with the resources they need to scale their businesses, including access to pro bono and reduced rates for technical and professional services. The inclusion pillar of our plan encourages engagement with investors and community partners to ensure the business community is doing our part to create a more inclusive region. Eliminating racism and systemic barriers is a large, long-term task. That's why we're hiring a dedicated DE&I staff to ensure we're meeting the needs of our business community. To complement all of this work, our policy team will continue advocating for key priorities to create and support a pro-business environment and ensure our economy is set up for a successful recovery post-COVID. As we get started today, I want to note that all participants have been muted. During today's conversation, if you want to submit a question, please use the chat feature located at the bottom of the screen. I think we all know where that is after 8 or 9 months here in this pandemic. We've saved some time at the end of the presentation for Q&A, and that will be moderated by John Launis, GLI's Acting Vice President of Regional Economic Development. So please submit your questions as we go through the presentation. I'd like to now invite you to listen to a quick video message from the sponsors of this event series, Republic Bank and Trust. We will then welcome Devin Hilsden-Smith with River Ridge, followed by Matt Yates with the Louisville Riverport. Thank you.
When we heard about the PPP loan, it seemed like such a great solution to this problem we were all facing. I reached out to some of our contacts and friends at Republic Bank at about 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, desperate for help, and they were incredibly responsive. And the next morning, I had a team in place at Republic that helped walk us through the entire process. It's easier here, right? That's the motto, and it really rings true.
All right, I think I've been told that is my cue to get going here. Well, thank you for the introductory remarks. Let me get my screen shared. And also more broadly, a great sense of appreciation from the River Ridge Development Authority over to our partners at GLI. Sarah mentioned the Niagara project, which was an excellent project. And you'll see as I go through this, even better news, since they've landed here, they've announced an expansion here as well. So it was obviously a great partnership that brought them in, and they're a stellar company that's investing even more in the region. For those of you who are not familiar with River Ridge, I'm going to start this off with just an overview of who we are, where we've come from, where we are today, and where we're going in the future. I think I've got about 15 minutes to go here. I think Matt and I had both agreed that we want to keep our introductory comments relatively brief so that we can make this more of a discussion-based conversation. But as you can see here on the screen, for those of you who are not familiar with River Ridge, this is Louisville. This area up here in the red, this is the 6,000-acre River Ridge Commerce Center as it stands today. I always like to, as I'm looking at it, and this is a great orientation, I call this the Fat Man of River Ridge. You see his head right here with the nose. You've got the gut hanging out, little broken cigarette going on there too. And that's how, if any of you reach out after this, which I encourage you to do for a tour, that's how we'll get our orientation. But like I said, we're a 6,000-acre commerce center. Right there past the new East End Bridge, really nice access into Louisville from different routes. And as you can see here in the bottom right-hand corner, I love history. I think a lot of folks are probably in the same boat, and especially when it comes to kind of how communities have been formed, and especially with regards to any sort of impact the federal government may have had. And so what you'll see right here is the reason why we have so much land up here in southern Indiana, spreading from Jeffersonville on the south end all the way up to Charlestown on the north end, is because back in the 1940s, as the U.S. was kind of getting ramped up and ready for war, it was determined that the current production capacity of powderless propellants was not sufficient to handle what we thought was coming. And so the Department of Defense, or I think they had a different name back then, but they started scouring the country for sites, and they ended up choosing this area in southern Indiana for a couple of different reasons. Logistics of the area were excellent, just as they are today, to be able to get the final product out. We sit right along an aquifer that can produce 100 million gallons of water per day, and some estimates show that the Army ended up using about 75 million a day. So abundance of water, good land that was relatively flat, and a workforce that was kind of ready to go. Probably one of the more real aspects of it, though, was the fact that we were far enough inland that they didn't know which coast an attack on the homeland would have been coming from. So they put us right dead smack in the middle, and here we are. Anyways, flash forward, 1970s, it was determined by the feds that this property was excess. It was deemed excess and kind of obsolete, and so they wound everything down. There were some estimates upwards of 30,000 folks working at this plant from the 40s up through its heyday, and the 70s it really got ratcheted down. And about 30 years later, the community kind of got sick of waiting around, waiting for the feds to do something to give it back. I mean, for those of you that are lifelong residents and you remember, this used to be a piece of property with chain link fences and security guards, and it wasn't really something to be proud of, and it wasn't a productive asset. And so the community, working with a couple of U.S. congressmen, lobbied Congress, got special legislation passed. And fun fact, we are actually not a BRAC. We have our own special legislation to put us in place. Back in 1998, it was deemed a reuse authority, but then I think, to really modernize where we are today, in 2004, we determined as a branding mission that we didn't want to be known by kind of the relics of the past, and so the name and the entity River Ridge Development Authority was created. I sit here today as Deputy Director of the River Ridge Development Authority, and we are the governmental entity that was established with the responsibility of redeveloping this 6,000 acre piece of property into something productive for the region, not just for Southern Indiana, but for Louisville, Metro Louisville, surrounding counties, and for the state as well. So you'll see that really in 2004, I mean, when this thing first started getting going, there were old, decrepit, decaying Army buildings, infrastructure that was no longer valuable or useful. We had long-term leases encumbering sites that had blast arc radiuses or radii. It was just a situation that I think without some vision, it was hard to comprehend how it could be something better. But as you can see there, in 2005, we had our first land sale and had a few more following that. And with those tax proceeds and real estate investment proceeds, we were able to start pushing forward and doing something with all of these sites to make it developable. Flash forward again, 15 years later, here in 2020, we've actually developed out about 35% of that 6,000 acres. I'll get a little more into this later on in this presentation, but 60 plus companies, 11,000 employees, $2.5 billion economic output. And we as the Development Authority have turned around and sunk $140 million into new infrastructure and getting sites ready for attraction. You'll see here, I'm going to kind of go back and forth between numbers for 2019 and 2020. We have an independent firm review all of the primary numbers that we report for each year, and that's not going to come out for 2020 for a few months. So some of this will be dated from 2019 and some will have some snapshots into what happened in 2020. But From 2019, you can see we did a lot of work, another $23 million invested, 250 million in new private investment, another 1,000 new jobs added on site. But you can see here kind of some of the, the challenges that we faced, going from something like this, overgrown, run down, to something like this. It's been a very transformative project that I think, and we would hope that everybody in the region can be proud of. For those of you who are numbers folks, you can see, from this graph alone, just how everything has grown. Labor income, economic value added. I mean, it's truly been an upward battle, and it's really starting to show. Again, 10,500, 11,000 after this year, employees on site, et cetera. Here's something for you tax folks to find this interesting. Of course, the tax revenues have followed, right? So the state of Indiana has been the primary beneficiary. The local income tax revenue, that's also climbed as well. And although I don't have the data, maybe it's something we should work on with GLI, but I'm sure there's been some impacts across the river. 2019, once again, the Development Authority, we're in charge of getting this place developed out. Now, once we sell a site to a private developer or to a private company, that's where we're kind of done. We'll bring all utilities to site for the company, of course, but then we just kind of back off and let the companies do their thing as long as it's in line with our CC&Rs. But we are constantly building, repairing, upgrading all of the infrastructure in the Commerce Center to ensure that it will consistently and constantly be a world-class place for businesses to come in, invest, and do business. Extending roadways, making more improvements on existing roads. One big push that we have right now, and we had some news about it in 2020 because we're upgrading our storage capacity, but we're also the water supplier up here. So again, from that big, massive aquifer, sitting on the river, we have wells that are collecting water, pulling those out, coming up into our water system, being treated and pumped out to all the businesses for process and domestic water in the park. So we're building out water infrastructure, wastewater infrastructure. Every road that we build, it's all up to heavy haul specs. So we always make sure that everything is kind of overbuilt because we never know what's going to come next. We lay fiber conduits under every road. Really anything you can think of. We are the infrastructure folks as well as the site development folks, as well as the incentive folks. We approve all development plans. So one of the nice things about doing business here is that we're really a one-stop shop. And a lot of companies find that to be very heartening as they're working through some progress. Speaking of companies, in 2019, we had a pretty nice year. As Sarah mentioned, I reiterated at the beginning, Niagara Bottling, they completed and occupied their 500,000 square foot facility. Medline Industries put up the largest facility we have here at 1.2 million square feet. And then America Place and Gray Construction added over 400,000 square feet of industrial spec space here. We think of 2020, and 2020 has been a miserable year in most respects, right? And kind of when you look back on it, you assume that because of just kind of the overall angst and kind of gloominess that was associated with this year, that maybe it wasn't as good of a year as it could have been. I will say, I started in 2019, came in, and of course, as the new guy, my executive director sat me down at the end of the year and said, all right, budget planning time. What's your projection for the budget for real estate sales? And gung-ho, a few other words I won't say on camera I said, let's push it to 12.5 million. I can sell $12.5 million dollars worth of land. Well, then 2020 hit. So from that metric, we did end up selling about $4.5 million worth of land in 2019. Didn't quite hit my goal. And so when I was sitting down to put together this presentation, I thought, oh man, this is going to be a rough one to talk about some positives. But as you can see from this slide, it actually went quite well on the private side. Hemprise, we have a new CBD oil processing facility down here that's going up. Their team just confirmed with me that's going to be the largest producer of CBD oil by volume in the world when they're done. Niagara Bottling, not only did we land them and they got done in 2019, 2020, expansion, moving forward. Pharmacord, I'm sure you've heard some of the news on that. Homegrown pharmaceutical operations support company announced that they were going to be expanding in the region and they're going to be building a much bigger office building here at River Ridge. And that sucker, as you can see from up here, it's gorgeous, even at the point that it's at today. They're moving forward. Parker Hannifin, actually because of the pandemic, they turned around and said, you know what? There's a need for additional filtering projects. We're going to expand and invest and create more jobs. Kenco, the largest woman-owned 3PL distribution company in the country, announced that they were taking down part of a building here at River Ridge. Hollenbeck Oakley, they ended up started building a new office building over our new office in Gateway, or office in Research Campus Park right off the exchange called the Gateway. Rivera Consulting Group, they're a cybersecurity defense, IT coder firm. They moved in this year. And then on the spec side, Van Trust and Gray Construction added nearly 1 million square feet of industrial spec space. So folks, if we're looking at the updates and the what's going on in the region right now, the activity that's occurred at River Ridge this year is an indicator. We're doing just fine. We've got a seriously hot market. And, you might notice from this list right here, yeah, there's some local companies, Pharmacord, Parker was already here, Hollenbeck, Gray is kind of local. But primarily what we're seeing is folks from outside of the region taking a look at our market and going, this is some good stuff. I know we made a commitment prior to the pandemic coming on, but even with the pandemic online, we're still going to move forward because you guys have something special. As far as moving forward into the future, this is where I'm probably going to keep it brief and have you folks ask me any questions that make sense. The main section of the Commerce Center, where we've got a lot of distribution, a lot of light manufacturing. At this point in time, believe it or not, that 35%, we're getting kind of full up. And so we have the opportunity to pivot and focus on 2 different areas. Because it's such a large commerce center, you can have really distinct separate areas and they can all be left alone and you can still have some separation where necessary between different types of industries. Because of that, moving forward, we are pushing north into Charlestown. We're going to get up there, start getting some sites ready, develop out some rail served properties, maybe some heavier manufacturing, get a little diversity going. We still have a mega site. We have a 1,000-acre mega site that, we've actually started submitting on a few projects recently, and we're excited to find something special there. And as I mentioned before with Hollenbeck Oakley, that's what these 2 pictures are from. We just couldn't be more proud of this product that's coming out of the ground. The Gateway Office and Technology Park is going to be located, again, this is right here at the interchange, first interchange off the East End Bridge. And if you were to drive up here today and take a look, just off screen right here next to this gorgeous tree, this building's going up. The steel frame is up and she's taking shape. It's going to be the first office building out there, 45,000 square feet, and we couldn't be more proud. So I am right at my 15-minute mark. I said I was going to be brief, but as everybody knows, I don't know how to do so. My contact information, here's my email right here. If you'd like my phone number, ask me, come on out for a tour. Let's get to know each other. And I couldn't be more proud to be in the region. Thanks, folks.
All right, guys, I'll go ahead and move forward. All right, someone nod if they can hear me. We're good to go. All right, I'm Matt Yates. I'm the Vice President with the Louisville Riverport Authority. We went through quite a few names in the past few years. Legally, we're the Louisville and Jefferson County Riverport Authority. We've been known by Jefferson Riverport International. We are kind of going through a subtle rebrand, and we are going by the Louisville Riverport Authority solely now. Louisville Riverport, we've really been a centerpiece of economic development in the Southwest Louisville area for going on 4 decades. It's a second to none location, multiple transportation options, and most importantly, a skilled, ready workforce right in our backyard to support the companies that want to grow here. As Sarah said, we're attracting new companies, but we're also positioning ourselves, positioning existing companies to grow further. And that's what Riverport has really done in this kind of new era as we've been kind of developed out in our industrial park. As one of 8 Kentucky river ports, we're a special purpose government entity. So we're created to be a catalyst for economic development. How can we help? Well, one is running a great port authority, giving folks not just in our industrial park, but throughout the whole region, options to source their goods, to source their commodities, to work with us on the foreign trade zone, you name it. And beyond that too, we have developed over 2,000 acres, and we still develop, we're developing new industrial development today. The biggest number that I think we're proudest of is not just our 120 companies that reside within the Riverport area now, but it's those 6,500 jobs. And that's 6,500 people clocking in right here in our backyard every single day, putting food on the table in manufacturing and heavy logistics and really some good wage jobs. What makes it special is a couple of things. People might not know that the Louisville Riverport Authority Railroad is a 13-mile railroad. We have our own railroad that serves Riverport that connects with the CSX to the south and the Norfolk Southern in the north. Also, Paducah and Louisville can come in and serve our industrial park. So what you have, unlike anywhere else, is these options. You know, I can got 3 different railroads I can have compete against each other for pricing, or I can bring in something by a barge, or I can transfer that to truck. If you want to move your product anywhere in this region, you're not going to find a better cost-efficient way than coming in the Riverport area and using our multimodal services. We work closely with our friends at the state and the city with new companies and folks that are expanding here. We make sure they understand the different programs that are available to support those businesses. After a company locates here in Riverport, we don't just kind of back away. We're your partner. And that's why you see so many people, especially these really employee-intensive agencies, growing and thriving, going on multiple decades now, because we try to work with them, understand their business yesterday to tomorrow, and see how we can help. We'll talk more about the foreign trade zone opportunity in the future. But then, you know, the biggest reason for our success too is these 250,000 people within 10 to 15-minute drive of Riverport in Southwest Louisville. We're not a great place to have a big empty building with a couple forklifts. You know, we want employee-intensive operations in Riverport. Those are the kind of businesses we recruit. Those are the kind of businesses that thrive here. We connect companies to different workforce programs, whether it be at the community colleges or whether it be at career academies with the high schools. So, you know, there's 400 kids graduate from PRP high school every year. And there's about 20 welders coming out with a welder certificate that can leave PRP high school and go right to work at a Riverport job. We try to help make those connections, and we're doing that in multiple ways. The port is a 300-acre multimodal facility. Like I said, there's not many ports around that have 3 different railroads coming in, 13 miles of track. We can serve multiple companies throughout the industrial park, and we own that track. So if you have a building, you're leasing a building, you want to figure out if you can get a spur added to that building, we could possibly do that. We on site, we have a 23,000 foot double loop track. You kind of feel like you're in the infield of Churchill Downs when you get inside that thing. It's really, really big, but we can bring in 2 unit trains at one time to do transloading. Now, most customers, when I keep saying this, and this is really how we benefit the region, we think, most of the customers that utilize our multimodal port services are not necessarily in our backyard. You know, you can be in Bardstown, you could be in farther away in Lexington even, and you want a place to unload a barge full of steel coils, come to Riverport, and then it's a short truck drive to your facility. Also, we have room to develop. You know, if you feel like, hey, I want to get a barge load of aluminum ingots or rolls of steel or large piles of gypsum, you know, but you don't have that room in your warehouse, we can offer warehousing on site at our port for you, and then you can have that delivered just in time when you need it. We're probably best known for our land development. People think of Riverport as an industrial park, which we are. We have developed our first non-contiguous area south of Gene Snyder on Dixie Highway. That's our phase 5. All of our property that we develop, we do the heavy lifting. We make sure all permitting's in place. We're compensating for stormwater. We're compensating for any floodplain mitigation needed. We're making sure that utilities for industrial use are ran to your property line. So we want to be your partner. We don't work on a commission here. We try to get companies in where they need to go, whether that's building a building on land that we might provide, or whether that's going to a privately owned building within the area. We want to be a part of that. We want to make sure that you're getting the best possible choice for you. This is a look at our phase 5. This is a big success, we think. This up until last year was a big 200-acre greenfield. I challenge anyone in that area, in that Valley Station area, to ride through today. We've built new roads throughout the park. We've got a 16-acre stormwater detention basin that's going to compensate for the whole site. So if I want to buy that 60-acre lot to the south, I don't have to build a detention pond on site. I can maximize my space. We also we got potential rail service through the Paducah and Louisville, and then PACCAR Parts, they're a auto truck part service company, is breaking ground very soon, early in 2021. Was scheduled this year, had some delays for COVID, but they're ready to go as soon as the weather breaks in 2021. More importantly, like we talk about how we're such an employee-driven kind of agency, and we want folks to hire new jobs, be successful. This is on that 18th Street Express TARC route. So if you need employees to get to your building, Riverport Phase 5 is an excellent option. Foreign trade zone. This is one kind of slide I wanted to show that shows our regional approach. You don't have to be in the Riverport Industrial Park to activate the foreign trade zone program for your facility. We are a grantee. So we are this region's grantee. If you're in Kentucky and you're exporting, you're importing, you're wanting to save on some of those goods from a deferral, reduction, elimination of duties, relief from inverted tariffs, duty exemption on exports. The FTZ program, in short, takes processes that otherwise would be overseas and brings them to Kentucky, brings them close, and brings those jobs with them. So if you're a current company here, or if you're an economic development agency recruiting a company that might be a foreign company that's going to import heavily and export heavily, we want to be at the table. We want to help you out. We want to talk about the FTZ program and see if that's a good opportunity for them. Currently, we're in 10 other counties. We don't have Bullitt marked yet, but the Cedar Grove Industrial Park in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, is now a full site magnet site, which means in a matter of weeks, you can come in and activate the FTZ status in that industrial park if you want to. And finally, here's a snapshot of some of the companies that we have on site. Some recent wins: All Good Foods, a peanut butter manufacturer, built a new building in Riverport. They're growing and expanding every day. Dynacraft is a company, PACCAR owned company in Riverport. They build components for trucks, and their sister company, PACCAR Parts, is the one going to locate in Phase 5. They came to us and they said, you know, Matt, we have such good success here. We have good success with hiring. Our workforce is better than other parts of the country. You know, can you fit us in Riverport? Well, we said we got a place down the road in Phase 5, and they're going to be the first resident of that industrial park. So that's kind of what we've done. You know, we've developed. There's not another 1,000-acre industrial park you're going to find in Jefferson County, you know, that we're going to build. So we're looking into development of the small parcels that we have, the couple large parcels that we have. We're looking at redevelopment. We're looking at how we better support companies that are here, whether it's increasing infrastructure, whether it's making sure that they have fiber access, and which they do in the Riverport Industrial Park and in Phase 5. We're a partner for a long time to come, And yeah, please reach out if you have questions. Thank you.
All right. Big thanks to Devin and Matt for that great overview. Just a reminder, we've got a few questions that have come in, so we'll get going here. But if you have anything on your mind, throw it in there, and we'll try to get it out to the group and get an answer from our guest here. So starting off, we got a question that asked us to talk a little bit about the difference that you see in spec development on the north and south sides of the river. So Matt, we'll stick with you here and let you field that one first.
Sorry. So the question is spec development. What are our thoughts on spec development?
Kind of the difference in spec development that we're seeing on each side of the river from your perspective.
Well, yeah. And, you know, we offer property, you know, at a market price, and it's good property. You're not going to find too many 60-acre greenfields left in Jefferson County. And one, we're an agency that doesn't receive tax revenue, so we have to make money. So we do want to sell property, right? So if there's an excellent spec building that has plans to come in, we've made that deal in Riverport. However, you know, we like to know who the user might be if possible. So we will entertain that depending on the project if we think it fits, and we're open to anything. You know, I know jobs are going to be there is what makes us happy. But then again, we're a great market, so I don't think someone's going to build a 1 million square foot spec building on 60 acres and have very few employees. That wouldn't make sense if you're going to be in Louisville, Jefferson County. You're probably going to be employee intensive. So absolutely, we got some great developers here that bring some great projects. And John, you know, from economic development, typically when companies call, they say, I want an existing building. So we are interested in those projects.
Devin?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially I want to echo Matt's comment there about, you know, we are also in the business of land sales, but I think as you all know, we will sell land for spec development if it's the right area of the Commerce Center and it's one of the trusted partners that Matt referenced. And, you know, we are also highly focused on the end user. And so I think, you know, I have two perspectives on spec. Number one, you can't get some end users to look at your market without spec, because a lot of end users that may pay really nice wages, they want to move like that, right? And so you need some spec for them to take a look at and build into. But you also run the risk of, once you sell that land to a developer, you might not get an end user that fits your strategic plan as a development authority. So I'd echo that. You know, we've had plenty of spec throughout the years, and as I just mentioned, we have had 1 million going up this year. I don't know that I can compare the differences between here and across the river. Maybe to something Matt alluded to. We still have a ton of land out here, so we can play that game a little more. But you know, it's always worked out well for companies. I mean, case in point with the speed of doing business up here, this was kind of spec that turned quickly into build to suit. You know, Amazon, when they came to town, they closed on the property in February, and they had a 1,000,001 square foot spec turn to build to suit facility pumping out product in October of the same year. Just mind blowing, right? So again, don't know that I can really comment further on the differences, but those are my thoughts there.
Well, one thing too I want to add, John, there's a difference is, you know, do we want to see a big, you know, sexy employment driven project come to our area? Of course we all do. But there's another question is spec profitable in our area? Now, Riverport always has one of the lowest vacancy rates in the entire region. So is spec a good investment in Riverport? I would have to say absolutely 100%. Yes, it is. But we definitely want to see the right partners coming in. But there are a lot of good builders that have brought some great projects in the future. So that's something we're always open to.
I don't think anybody would disagree that, you know, workforce is a key driver for any project these days. Could you guys both maybe take a minute to talk a little bit about where you're pulling your workforce from, both from pipelines, what's your labor shed related to your locations, and just kind of how you how you see that need being met by your current and future employers. And Devin, we'll kick this one over to you to start.
Yeah, so I am, I'm not going to try to hold myself out as being a workforce expert, but I think we pull from, all of the surrounding counties in Indiana, as well as Jefferson County. For the longest time, we were primarily pulling workforce from, Clark, Floyd, Harrison, Scott, the counties surrounding us. But with the opening of the East End Bridge, we've started to see for operations that make sense for folks to come across from Louisville to work at River Ridge, we're starting to see a bit of that coming across. I mean, the main one right there is Pharmacord, right? They had to take a look at, does it make sense to us to have, these 800 something employees in this very specialized profession working over in Southern Indiana? And after doing their study, they determined it was feasible. So with projects like that, we think we're going to see more folks coming over from Louisville. So we're going to be sending some income back across the river. But, the folks, I had a call with the mayor of a small city nearby recently. They deemed that they want to be the best darn bedroom community for Jefferson County and for River Ridge possible for workforce. So our surrounding counties do a lot for us as far as providing a labor pool.
Yeah, and that's one thing I mentioned, that, if you want a lot of land and whatever, you might have to go farther out of the county. But if you want workforce, there's not a better place in Southwest Jefferson County. They're all right here. And especially if it's going to be, I'm talking specifically a manufacturing and logistics centered workforce. We have a lot of folks that are multi-generational, manufacturing, skilled trades. That's Southwest Louisville. That's my community. That's my hometown. People are proud of those jobs. They come out of high school training for those jobs, and that's why Riverport companies are successful today. But of course, they got to be the right wages, and that's why I'm a big fan of some of our manufacturers here, because they're paying those good wages. You can feed a family on and really have a thriving quality of life. And we're in this community, not just me, this community is really stepping up and making sure there's folks here to fill those jobs.
Build off of that a little bit. You're obviously a key asset in Southwest Louisville there, Matt. And Devin, you guys have spurned tremendous growth. I actually saw a comment. It was talking about the vehicular increase even over the past several years related to that. So maybe take a minute, and Matt, we'll kick it over to you just to continue with what you're saying. What does Riverport mean to Southwest Louisville? How are you supporting, partnering, and working to build your local community in
Yeah, absolutely. And if you got a chance to kind of look at my map, Riverport kind of built the modern day Southwest Louisville. In the 70s, I don't have as thorough a history as Devin did, but they said, where can we pull off coal off barges and not really bother anybody? Southwest Jefferson County, nobody's out there. And they built the port. The port turned into the Riverport Industrial Park. Housing in Pleasure Ridge Park boomed around that over the years. People work these jobs, and the community is doing really well today. But what we got to do is we got to make sure that our companies know our schools, that our workforce within the community know our jobs. And that's some of the things that Riverport as an agency is trying to work on a little bit better today, whether it's a social media blast about a company hiring or trying to support a job fair, or going to companies and just let them know what kind of workforce programs, John, you guys might have, or our friends at Louisville Forward might have. We're kind of intermediary to making sure, that folks are taking advantage of all opportunities.
Yeah, I think once we got from, the visionaries believing in this place to everybody else going, all right, this is real. I think what you saw is, the progress we've made. River Ridge really put Southern Indiana kind of on the map. I travel to different cities and meet with site selectors, et cetera, from, some of the bigger shops in New York, Atlanta, Dallas. And I usually start in with, hey, if you ever heard of River Ridge, and I always expect, just to be humble that they haven't, and typically they do, but they go, yeah, like the Louisville, the North Louisville Industrial Park, right? Like, yeah, no, we can call it that. I'm totally good with that. So we're also, associated with Louisville. I love that. To the comment about vehicular traffic, I was going to try to bring it up, but yeah, our bad, by the way, for any congestion on Highway 62. We know that artery has, it has really taken on a lot of traffic because of the activity that we've generated. But I mean, you just see the impacts like that throughout, I think, the region, right? I mean, I mentioned 11,000 working here. There's 16,000 regional jobs that are also supported, according to that independent firm, by the activities here. So I think at the end of the day, though, what I could say is I think what we have now compared to kind of the living in the shadow of the demise of the old ammunition plant, I think it's kind of a source of pride for the community now to show that, yeah, we can step it up and do something big on our own as well. So yeah, there you go, John.
John, I got to give a shout out to TARC. When I first came in this position, we worked with them, landed a big grant for a Riverport circulator coming through the park. There's great access to Dixie Highway through public transit, and now they've made that available. If you can get to Dixie Highway, you can get to Riverport for these jobs. And so we're accessible for the whole community now. So they've been great and instrumental on making sure that folks can get to work in our area.
Yeah, great point. We've got a handful of our regional partners on here. I won't be able to list them all, but I see Daryl over in Harrison County. I see Rebecca, Ben, Alex, Sarah, her team over at Louisville Forward. 1SI's on the call. Kelly, we've got a lot of our regional collaborators here on the call. Maybe take a minute. I think when we work regionally, we talk a lot about marketing, globally and then competing locally, right? So maybe take a minute and talk a little bit about what the benefits of regionalism is. How do you work within the region? How do you sell the region so that you can get the looks locally and compete, for your jurisdictions, for your ports?
Sure. So, you guys know, when if I'm a company in Japan, I know Kentucky because Toyota's in Kentucky. I'm not going to know Riverport or River Ridge. And that's why we rely on guys like you. In Kentucky, we have the programs, Kentucky United. We're making sure that the folks that are traveling this country and reaching out to folks internationally understand what product that we have. That's important. So it does start locally, making sure that local agents in the real estate industry are aware of our product, that folks at the cabinet, and I'm sure Devin's working with Indiana the same way, that they're aware of the products that they have. So when we get those leads, we're one strength within this region that they can show off.
Yeah, I mean, we're stronger together, right? I mean, I hate to sound hokey about it, but everything from a larger workforce to a more strategic, collaborative way of maybe approaching things versus siloing things up and getting different results. We've kind of got something for everyone. I mean, if you want to live on a farm and work on a farm, or if you want to live in the suburbs and work somewhere else, if you want to live downtown and work downtown, or if you're a type of company that that requires to be out lots of acreage like River Ridge, or if you need access to a port for river ports, or if you're we've just got such diversity in everything we can offer if we think like a region and act like a region. Again, I'm new to the area, and so I'm not familiar. I haven't personally experienced the history of this place, but to me, we're really just one big region with an asset running, in the middle, right? And that asset is wonderful for recreation and commerce. So I don't think we would all be where we are today without the notion of regionalism. And again, we're stronger when we work together. To Matt's point, I mean, it gives us a way of generating different types of pipelines that give the region different looks. So I would argue, one of the most critical aspects of our jobs is thinking regionally.
And John, I want to add, yeah, also we're really transforming from a very local development authority into a regional economic partner with the port services, which go far beyond Louisville and Jefferson County, with the foreign trade zone components too. So, you know, I think we specifically, as Jefferson County is built out, you know, how else can we help? And a lot of the ways we are looking is to better our neighbors, not just locally, but throughout this whole region.
What is, you know, we've had a lot of challenges in 2020. So we'll stay on that theme just for a minute. As we look into 2021, what do you see as our challenge, our largest challenge, either as a region or for your specific parks?
Well, most recently it was trying to figure out how the heck I prepare a budget for 2021, right? I mean, I'll be candid. I ended up saying, listen, I think virtual is still going to be the thing for, you know, at least the first 2 quarters. But then I did open up a bit of my budget to the potential for travel. So I think the hardest thing, I mean, that's one example. I think the hardest thing for us is going to be, you know, entering 2020, we didn't know that there was going to be an attack on the sense of normalcy, right? We didn't know that there was uncertainty coming, but going into 2021, we know there's uncertainty because we don't know how much longer this thing is going to last. And so trying to figure out through your strategic and annual planning how to accommodate for that uncertainty, I think is the biggest challenge for me at least.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one way to mitigate the trade uncertainty is participate in the foreign trade zone program. So we are receiving a lot of new inquiries for that, and folks in different sub industries of manufacturing and logistics utilizing that program. So you're going to see a lot more users come online, I think, in 2021 through the foreign trade zone and FTZ. And so we're really trying to sharpen our skills as a grantee support agency to help those folks as they come along. But you know, 2021 hopefully is not 2020. We're seeing commodities move through the port, through the rail. Things are happening. The economy's going. You know, people are buying online. Radial here is booming, doing well. You know, so we're really not changing our operations as if we're going into another 2020. We're excited about the future, and we think we're going to be back.
We've got a good diverse audience here with us today. A lot of folks that are in the trenches doing economic development to really, you know, promote and bring opportunity to our region. As we wrap up here, what's that one takeaway you want everybody here to know? Last comment. Devin, we'll start with you.
Yeah, quite frankly, I want to give you a next step. I mean, like I said at the beginning of my presentation, I think your takeaway should be that I personally, as the deputy director here, would love to give each and every one of you a tour of our Commerce Center. I want to be able to show you guys what we're doing. I mean, I can tell the story like this all day long, but until I can get you out there and show you some property and show you how gorgeous this place presents, it's really hard to understand the full story. So I know it's not quite the groundbreaking takeaway you might be looking for there, John, but please know that I'm approachable. I'm always willing to give tours, meet for a cup of coffee when the circumstances are right. And, you know, I hope that circumstances present themselves so I can meet even more of you. Again, I'm quite new to the region, been here for almost 2 years, but I haven't gotten to meet the majority of you. So please go ahead and reach out. I'd love to get to know you.
Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Get on our website, LouisvilleRiverport.com, and see what we do. We're more than just an industrial park. We think we're this region's best kept secret as far as a tool in the economic development toolbox. And we want to be your partner from a lot of different ways. If you are looking for land from 3 acres to 60 to 120, reach out and we'll see if we can make that work for you. We also keep an inventory of buildings in our park that are privately owned. If you're looking for an existing building, we'd love to see you come in there. We work closely with the local agents. But yeah, just try to get to know us, what we do, and there might be a good chance that we can support your company.
Awesome. Well, I'd like to again thank both Devin and Matt for joining us and for an insightful conversation here. Also want to thank all of our regional partners for their ongoing efforts to grow our regional economy. And last but certainly not least, want to thank Republic Bank for sponsoring today's event. Extremely lucky to have partners such as all of you to help us drive this work forward. And for all of our guests, we hope the conversation was enlightening and resourceful. And we really appreciate everyone's time. So we've got a couple of upcoming events. We got the 2020 Incredible Awards presented by New Lease Medical Solutions on December 16th. And then we've got our Workforce Connections event, and that topic is around helping employees overcome barriers to work. And that's presented by HR Affiliates on the 17th. So with that, I just want to thank you all again for joining and hope you have a great day.